Hi everyone, Christina here. Welcome to another YouTube video. I'm uploading this on a Saturday, which is unusual for me, but I wanted to share this Colorado Craft Company stamp set with you called For Mom. They just had a big release come out in collaboration with Anita Jerem, and it's all Mother's Day and Father's Day and just really, really fun images. I'm only using one stamp set today, but there's a bunch of other products. I'll have a link down below for you to check those out. I'm going to be doing some watercoloring, so I'm using Fabriano Artistico Extra White watercolor paper, and I'm stamping the images for my card using Acorn ink. This is VersaFine Clair ink, and it's such a great waterproof ink, and I like to use brown like this just to soften the usual black lines that I always do. So like I said, I'm going to be doing watercoloring. I've got two greetings at the very top here, and I'm going to kind of sketch out some banner shapes to go around these greeting stamps before I get to the watercoloring. I wanted to use both of these because I thought they worked well together. Happy Mother's Day, you deserve to be pampered and spoiled. I think it's perfect to go along with this image of the cat lounging in bed with the breakfast on the tray. It's not really breakfast for you and me, but it's a fish and it's for a cat, so it works out. Anyway, I did some really kind of freeform, wobbly rectangles around each greeting. And then I drew really simple ribbon ends, kind of folded banner ribbon ends on each of these. They don't have to be perfect. That's what's great about this style. It's kind of sketchy. It can be a little bit freeform. It doesn't have to be precise with straight lines or anything like that. I'm planning to watercolor this, and I thought it'd be nice to have these two greetings separate or separated so that I could have two different colors for these banners. It's going to be a little bit of a different card. It's also going to be essentially a one-layer card. Now, if you wanted to have a little more dimension on this, you could stamp the greeting separately and create an actual banner that goes on top. But I decided I wanted to kind of keep this really easy and simple and just have the banners drawn on. So I'm going to be doing watercolor. So I'm going to tape down my project to a board using some blue painter's tape. This is going to keep it flat while I paint. I'm not going to be painting all the way to the edges today, so the likelihood of it warping is rather low, but it's just always a good practice to tape it down. I'm using my Magello Mission Gold watercolors today, and I'm not mixing very many colors. I'm mostly just taking the pure colors from the palette. I'm going to start out by painting the little cat. And when I saw this image of the cat in bed, kind of like a person with the breakfast in front of him or her, it really made me think of my mom. My mom loves Sophie and Daphne, my two cats, and she feeds them whenever she can. So I thought it'd be really fun to make the cat in the bed look like Sophie and Daphne. But essentially, I'm thinking about painting this as if it's my mom, which is a weird thought that I'm painting a cat to look like my mom. But here we are. I'm adding some pink. And after I have that main kind of layer of color on the cat, I dried it, and then I came in and added some stripes. So it looks like a little tabby cat. Now, one thing that I really wanted to focus on as I paint this image today is I really wanted to call out one of Kathy Rakusen's coloring tips, which is nooks and crannies. This is something that I think really steps up any image, and I think it looks awesome when you do this. And what that means is you're really paying attention to the little corners and the lines of things. And when you think it's done, go back and add even more darkness to the nooks and crannies. And it really just adds a lot of contrast to your painted scene, and you get a lot more, I don't know, it deepens and enriches everything. So I'm really thinking about that particular tip as I'm painting. And specifically when I was painting the cat, right before I did that last little layer of additional color that darkened things up, I thought I was going to be done. But then I thought, no, go back, do the nooks and crannies. And that's how it ended up. Same thing happened with this pillowcase here. I did this nice little blue shade. I thought, oh, that looks great. No, nothing needs to be added. But after I dried it, I'm going to dry it right here. I came back and I added additional shading in the nooks and crannies. And I didn't add very much, but it was just enough to kind of give a little bit more dimension to that pillowcase. And I really think it was worth it. The pillowcase and also the folded over blanket up there, the sheet. Adding just more of that color to those nooks and crannies really brings this to life. Speaking of Kathy Rakusen's coloring tips, she has a new coloring challenge coming up that starts this next week. I think it starts on the 15th or maybe the 16th. She'll have more information over on her Instagram and her blog. But this time it is a 10-day coloring challenge. I know a lot of you have loved her 30-day coloring challenges. They were super popular, but she's doing a 10-day coloring challenge, which is right up my alley because I have tried to do the 30-day color challenge. And even though it's not very strict with the rules, like you don't have to do every single day to participate, I'm that type of person that if I'm going to do a challenge, I want to do it every single day. And if I can't quite do that, then I kind of give up a little bit. You know the feeling? So 10 days is really approachable. I really encourage you guys to check it out. It's all about just coloring a little bit every day. It doesn't have to be a lot. You can just color for a few minutes, and it's great for your mental health. It's great for focus, and it's just really fun to do. I heard something, I think it was on a podcast, and I wish I could remember which one it was, but they were talking about doing very detailed things that kind of help you bring down your breathing to a more even pace. Very detail oriented things. They were saying that people who do very detail oriented work will find that their breathing slows while they're doing it. I find that with watercoloring and painting, it's very relaxing for me, or even just coloring. And so I think Kathy, she's been doing this for many years, is really onto something. That the whole coloring trend that people use for anxiety reduction and reducing stress, it is absolutely true, and it really really works. So I encourage you to do a little bit of coloring. So I used a more red violet shade on the Happy Mother's Day and more of a rose shade on the secondary greeting, and just a little bit of a different shade for each of these. And that's going to give these banners a little bit more personality and just a little more color. This is almost a monochromatic with a focal point, a focal color. You've got a lot of that blue shade and then pops of pink and red. And I think it looks really, really nice this way and just gives a little bit more focus to the entire image. And I have to say, because I am doing this for my mom, that I specifically chose to have the blanket and the pillowcase be blue because that is her favorite color. And for as long as I can remember, my mother has always had a blue comforter on her bed, whether it's a dark blue or a light blue or kind of a medium denim blue. She's always had a blue blanket. And so it was perfect that I had to have this blue blanket on this cat bed. I think it worked out perfectly. So I wanted to bring in a little bit more detail onto this entire kind of scene here. So I grabbed my Finetec pearlescent paints and decided to add some kind of shinier elements on some of the areas. So I used kind of a pink rose shade on the teacup. I used silver on the teapot. And then I added this nice blue shade on that small picture there, and I'm going to be adding a bunch of detail onto each of the squares, or the darker squares on the quilt or on the comforter. And I did some stripes and I did some dots and a grid and kind of like leaf shapes. I just wanted to have a little bit of texture on the different areas on this blanket. I thought that'd be a nice touch that, in the light, when you tip it, you get a really fun shine and sheen to each one of those areas that isn't really visible unless you tip it in the light. So I removed my a whole scene from my hardboard, and I wanted to add a little bit of a deckled edge. So I used the Tim Holtz decal trimmer, and this watercolor paper was already 5x7, so I just trimmed off about a quarter of an inch, maybe a little less than that from each side, and that gives that really kind of rough edge. I'm now using some mushroom cardstock from Concord and Ninth, and I cut it to 7x10 so that I could create a 5x7 card base. And I just used a Score Buddy for that, as well as a Teflon bone folder to get my card base all folded down. I put some foam adhesive on the back of my watercolor panel and then adhered it directly onto the card base. And that's my card for today. Just a reminder that there are so many other amazing stamps in this release. Make sure you check out that link down below. You can get them over at Simon Says Stamp or the Colorado Craft Company website. Thanks so much for watching today. I will be back very soon with another video.